What's up, everybody? Today we're going to be building the BBS RSs for my Datsun 240Z. These are, where's the face? RS 035s. Basically that's just the face pattern. It'll have a lug pattern and an actual offset per wheel, which the offset of this is 25, ET25. For the fronts, I'm keeping the original barrels that came with these wheels. We'll obviously have to take all the old weights and everything off once we get them balanced. And Wheel Flip actually made some new lips for these. So these will be 15 by 10s up front. And for the rears, same exact face, ET25, RS 035s, but Wheel Flip actually made up conversion lips and barrels. So this takes the wheel face from a 15 and brings the lip out to a 17. The actual width of the wheel will be a 12 in the rear, so it'll be a 17 by 12 in the rear. Okay, so obviously I've already had the faces and lips powder coated. Whenever you actually powder coat 3-piece wheels, it's always a good idea to clean the actual mounting surface. This is yet to be cleaned. All of this excess silicone needs to be off the wheel when you actually build it. But even this back surface has to be cleaned for everything to mount perfectly. And when you actually mount your silicone, you don't want anything to creep in between the actual coating and the lip of the wheel, and you'll end up with a leaking wheel. These are the original BBS hex caps that came with these wheels. I didn't really like this look, honestly, and they sit up pretty high, especially on a 15-inch wheel. On a bigger wheel, it doesn't look as huge, but plus they're all a little beat up. This is what actually holds the waffle ring in and just kind of covers the lugs on the wheel. And plus all of these actual BBS emblems were kind of messed up. You can kind of see the separation between the actual silicone lens of this and the actual plastic in the back of it. So we're not going with either of these. I've got some flush mount hex caps. Well, they're not really hex caps anymore, I guess. They're just flush mount caps. They're all aluminum instead of the plastic the back of these have. They're made by Euro Image, and they even have their own tool that slides in here, and you spin it basically, and that's how you tighten and loosen the waffle ring once it's all put together. So that's the basic build. I'm also not going with the stock hardware as it's all rusty, most of them are at least. Just went with some standard black bolts using the same nuts, and then I'm using the same BBS valve stems. So that's the general overview of what we're going to be doing, and then I'll get into a little detail as we build them. Okay, so when you actually torque down the nut to the bolt through the wheel, you need to make sure that they're all torqued to the same specs. With RSs, they recommend 22 foot-pounds, but with the depth of my barrels, we'll need to use an extension. And there's an easy way to calculate this. So basically, if you have an extension on a torque wrench, the torque specs won't be the correct foot-pounds. But if you go, there's like an online calculator. You just measure the length of your wrench, which is 10 inches, and the length of your extension, which is 6 inches, and then you put in your foot-pounds, and it'll give you the new foot-pounds to set your wrench at. Okay, so I'm just going to run through the whole installation process. Take your barrel, set your face down on it, match up all the holes. Okay. You take your lip, do the same with that. Match up all your holes, make sure it's seated. Okay. And take your bolts and nuts. You bolt through the face side, and you take a nut, throw it on the bottom. An easy way to do this is to set it on the edge of a workspace like this. And just throw your arm up underneath. And you'll obviously do that to all of the bolts, all 30, whatever of them. And then what we'll be doing is taking the waffle cap, waffle ring, and the new hex cap or flush mount cap you have. I've already pre-installed the emblem into the cap. It's just got 3 little tabs. You have to press them pretty hard, but they'll go in there. And to keep these two from coming apart, there's a little tiny ring. And there's a little tiny groove right here. Not on any of these actual threads, but right past the threads there's one little groove. So you can just snap it on, slide this guy all the way down. There you go. So now the cap can spin freely, so when you actually mount it to the face, well, here, I'll show you. Kind of just set that in there where you want it to be. Spin the center cap. You can throw this in here. Okay. And then take a valve stem. You want to inspect these rubber seals. It's basically 2 nuts, a little washer, and then a rubber seal. Make sure they're all good. No tears or anything in them. Then what you basically do is set this through the center of it, of the lip. Here's some easier. Like that. Make sure it all seals. Throw the new seal on there. Washer. Then both nuts. You'll clearly have to torque that one down all the way first. You can't get a wrench on this side, but I mean, as long as they're tight, they shouldn't leak. I mean, you can always test it later. And then, for good measure, throw the second one on there. And then that's basically it for the valve stem. And that's what they'll look like. It's possible to build these all by yourself, but it's kind of annoying. I always found it easier if you invite a friend. What's up, guy?
You got a little exhausted. Am I on camera?
Yeah.
Oh god, don't get this piece of shit on camera. What's up, man?
What's up?
Sure.
How you doing? Let's build some wheels.
Let's do it.